So this is the 10th game I ever tried to make. I don't have with me the ninth game that I tried to make, which was a board game. And if I ever get around to compiling everything for that, I will show you that. But I had started to convert that one into a digital format. But this one, the 10th game I ever tried to make, which I think is called Quest for the Omen. I'm not sure. I don't really remember the name. I had a lot of people play this, and it was a good game. But it's a good game because it kind of just takes a formula that already works, and I put my own characters in it. So it's very heavily Yu-Gi-Oh! And not that that's disappointing, it's just that I took something that worked and then I broke it to try to make it fun in my own way, to incorporate the Omin Mesa Saga into it, and it went too far. I'll explain how far I went here in a little bit, but first I want to explain sort of the battlefield based on what I can remember with the cards that I have with me. I don't even have a full deck with me. What I have with me right now is a few cards from, I think, 7 different decks, and simply so that I have the art, which was, for the most part, only drawn on these cards and hadn't been drawn anywhere else. So, I've laid this out. And I'm going to all right. So what I have here is the standby zone. These are all these characters here. You have 5 spots for standby characters. And I've chosen the Lumen Special Forces, but I don't have the Lumen from the Lumen deck, so I had to choose Lumen from the Depdrath deck for this example. But it says unaffected by all effects. That's all outside effects, and as long as Lumen is on the field, it adds 500 attack to Lumen. So here is the character card Lumen, and so he gets 500 attack for each one of them. So deck name, character art, their attack power, their defense power, and their effect. Now, this card probably went a bit too far. Impossible to kill, he's a god killer, and every turn that passes, Lumen gets 100 points to attack and defense. So he gets very, very strong. Now, you may think that impossible to kill just kind of breaks the game right there, but it doesn't quite. Their defense is how much attack is stopped from hitting your actual life points, which I think could start at 10,000 or 100,000, depending on how long you want the fight to last. So if somebody at his base form hit him with 5,000 attack, he would stay alive, but you would receive 1,000 points of damage to your health. Now, if he wasn't impossible to kill, he would die at that point because more damage has been dealt to him than he can defend. But there are some other things that could happen too. Let's say I had Gororo in my attack zone. Well as combining any one other character to add their attack and defense to his defense, which is just part of the... There's a card that I don't have with me called the question mark tablet. You have to use that question mark tablet to put him on the field. And part of that is also selecting another character to combine their defense or their attack and defense with his defense. But his defense is a property of health, which means that you can't deal damage to the player's health until he is dead, and every bit of damage that you deal to his health or his defense ticks down. So you don't have to get him in one hit. You just have to break his defense down until he's dead. But there's no overkill there. Now, I did have a few other cards in mind that kind of played into that Yu-Gi-Oh! Effect, which are things like counter effect cards. I would use this from the hand at any time to trap a character in a 10,000 point chamber. They must sacrifice an amount of 10,000 attack or defense to escape, which means that once they get out, they no longer have whatever points they spent to get out of this chamber. And although it also says trap a character in, you can send other characters in to sacrifice that attack or defense power in order to get both characters out. Because maybe they have a really good effect. Maybe I get all of these characters in and then put this character in order to get everyone out. Then Lumen gets more powerful again. And this would go over the top of the character that it was used on. But I also have just normal effect cards. And this one would bring all of these characters, the Lumen Special Forces, from my deck to my hand. And it can be used twice in a single fight, which means that once this is used, it goes back to my hand, and I can use it again. Or that if I ever got it back, I could only use it one more time. These are from 3 different decks. These are other decks. I really didn't... think that I was going to break this one so easily. It could be a good game. I could still downgrade all of these abilities that broke the game, that took things too far. And I could still make this a game based on the Omin Mesa saga. It would be no problem. But there had to be a goal in mind. There had to be a reason for you to play the game and for you to get something out of the game, to go somewhere. So I included a system where when you won a fight, you got credits. And I kept track of how many credits somebody had, and I had a store where you could buy more characters for your deck. Or, if you manage to solve the riddle and make it to the Omin, you can design your own card, and they can be extremely powerful, and that's where, and I'm sorry if you're watching this, Sorrel, but that's where I created the card that broke the entire game. Which is Dark Warrior, who has 6-star attack, 6-star defense, which means that his attack can instantly kill any character, unless, you know, he's not a god killer. But he doesn't deal damage to health. And his defense can defend against any attack, and no damage is dealt to the player health. And you can pay 500 health to counter and destroy 1 card each turn. So, while his power is somewhat limited, he does break the game. Because all you have to do is keep this card out and just attack your opponent until they give up. Or just keep them out and do nothing until they give up. He creates a wall. He sort of soft locks everything. And it's not just that, but because it's based on the Omin Mesa saga, and because there are characters in the Omin Mesa saga that are unnecessarily powerful at times, it's too hard to translate what they can actually do to cards. I have to pick and choose which abilities get carried on. And sometimes some of their abilities should not carry on to a card game, and I went ahead and tried to do that anyway. Which is where I come to cards like, in the Bushido deck, Blacksmith, who has the effect of roll 1 to get result. If you get a 1 through 3 on a 1d6, then you get an instant win. But if you get a 4 through 6, it becomes a draw. Now, you don't have to roll. He's a strong card with 4,300 attack. But, I mean, the match is going to end if you decide to roll. But that is what he does in the saga. This is the awakened version of him where he is strong enough to, instead of only ever use release energy and knock himself out and obviously defeat any foe in his way, because that would create the draw scenario, he can instant win because he can focus that release energy attack that he does on a single person and win the fight. But that doesn't make it a fun card game, because I could just end the fight anytime I want. I could end it in a draw, in which case we split the credits, or I can end it in an instant win, flip of a coin, which again, it's just a flip of a coin. You take no damage if Moken is the only character in your battle zone. Attack and defense are equal to the amount of health you pay for each. That's a good card. There are other cards with defense being a property of health. There are a lot of cards that work together because they work together in the saga, and I tried to incorporate that. But as far as it being fun, without a full deck, I can't really tell if this game could be salvaged, but it did fail. People stopped playing it. I stopped playing it. And we had fun while it lasted, I guess. I really don't know what else to say about this. If I wanted to continue this into a card game, it's a formula that works. I just have to put more rules on what I do with the cards. More limitations. Don't make any one card unstoppable or unbelievably powerful. But the system that was in place, that works. Standby zone, battle zone, cards that you play from your hands, effect cards, counter cards, even field cards. But it broke. So I moved on.